The Name of the Game is presented by Bravo, the marketing arm of Ash Brokerage Corporation, the practice enhancement company. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and host of the weekly online talk show, Steve Savant's Money, the Name of the Game. I'm answering insurance questions from insurancelibrary.com, and today's question is, what is permanent life insurance? Well, permanent life insurance could be universal life, it could be whole life, it could be variable life. Any of those three are permanent forms. Depending upon how far out you want to go in the maturity date, some of these contracts go to age 100, some even farther out. Even some guaranteed permanent contracts, you can make it small enough in the timeline to actually terminate at age 85. You want to make sure that if you're using permanent insurance, you're telling me that you have permanent financial indebtedness or future obligations that are not going to go away, and that's why we're not looking at term. You're looking at permanent forms of insurance to cover indebtedness, future obligation, charitable intent, and to replace a person's income when they die. I'm answering consumer questions from insurancelibrary.com, and today's question is, what does term life insurance cover? Well, remember, first of all, if we're using term, it only covers for that period in time. So if you buy a 20-year term as an example, it's only going to cover you for 20 years. So if you buy $500,000 of death benefit, you'll have it for as long as you pay your premiums on time, you'll have that coverage. And what is it good for? How does it cover? Well, it's going to cover anything that you think that you need. Let's say at $500,000, you had a mortgage at $250,000. You had credit card debt, you had car debt, you had educational debt. You want to cover that so that your spouse or your beneficiaries will not be actually saddled with your debt if something happened to you. So when I'm looking at what does term life insurance, it's the time zone, how long do I have, what obligations would I have, and how can I relieve my beneficiaries from any of those obligations if something happens to me. Is life insurance taxable? Well, at death of the policy insured, the actual proceeds generally go to the beneficiaries of the policy absolutely tax-free. It takes about 60 days for it to process, and your beneficiaries will receive it. And of course, they can use that to pay off indebtedness or to put money aside in some kind of investment for future obligations like college education or retirement of maybe a surviving spouse. But the beauty of it is, sometimes you can use this for all kinds of ideas that you never thought about, including ongoing income for the surviving spouse, an idea that is really becoming much more popular today. Some business situations, as well as some estate situations, may incur a tax depending upon how it's owned. But predominantly, most life insurance goes tax-free to their beneficiaries. Can I get life insurance if I have sleep apnea? Well, the answer is many times yes, but I need to know some answers to some questions. Are you using a CPAP machine or a BiPAP machine? As well as, what's your height and weight, and have you used tobacco in the last 12 months? I also need to know the date or age of first diagnosis and whether the sleep apnea was diagnosed as obstructive, central, mixed, or unknown. As well as, was the sleep apnea diagnosed as mild, moderate, or severe, and then the date of the last sleep study that you've undergone. All these factors will be able to give us a great idea of which carrier to go to. Remember, certain carriers are more benevolent with sleep apnea when it comes to pricing life insurance. How much is $1 million life insurance policy? Well, are we using term life insurance or are we using permanent life insurance? Because that's going to dictate how long the coverage is going to need. Am I a male or female? Am I a smoker or a non-smoker? What's my medical history like? What is the paramed exam result that I have to take for the application? I need to incorporate all those issues into what the price tag is going to be for $1 million coverage. As well as, think about this, you're going to have to also add on, do you have a hazardous vocation? Because that could be another additional price tag on top of your premium. And if you have recreational issues like, I like to scuba dive or mountain climb, those also are incorporated into your price tag. So if you're looking for $1 million of the coverage and you can answer all those questions, you can come up with who's got the most competitive price tag throughout the life insurance carrier market. How much life insurance should a married couple have? Well, generally, married couples now are dual income. Everybody's working, and it seems like today. Their mortgage is usually predicated on two incomes. Their debt is predicated on two incomes. All the ability for them to pay for college education and future retirement is generally predicated on those two incomes. So you'll want to protect both of them, and you'll want to be able to cover all those arenas, including, by the way, income. If one spouse dies, I want the death benefit to pay off all those obligations and all those indebtedness, but I also want it to pay and generate an income so that my spouse can stay in the house, can go ahead and pay off those bills and meet all our future obligations, especially if we have children involved. Well, that's our consumer question for today. If you have any questions, just submit them to www.insurancelibrary.com.